Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're going on an absolutely incredible adventure. In this explainer, we're going to open up the biblical text and go on a real-life treasure hunt together, specifically looking at a chapter called Proverbs 22. Now, I know when you think of a treasure hunt, you probably picture, pirates, old maps, or giant wooden chests buried in the sand. But the treasure we're hunting for today, well, it isn't something you can dig up with a shovel. It's hidden wisdom. And we're going to uncover some unbelievable secrets that'll help you build an amazing life. So, are you ready? Let's get to it.
Seriously, I want you to think about this for a second. What is better than $1 million? If you could have a literal mountain of silver, shiny gold blocks, or just endless stacks of cash to buy literally every video game and toy in the world, is there anything you could possibly want more than that? I mean, it sounds kind of crazy to even think there's something better, right? Well, the biblical text tells us that there absolutely is something way, way more valuable.
Section 1. The best treasure of all.
Okay, let's dive into this. The very first piece of wisdom we find on our map tells us exactly what this ultimate treasure is. And spoiler alert, it's got nothing to do with what's in your piggy bank. Proverbs 22 verse 1 gives us the answer. A good name is more desirable than great riches. So what does that actually mean? Having a good name doesn't mean your actual name is just cool to say. It means having a good reputation. It means that when people hear your name, they immediately think, oh, that person is kind, they're honest, they're a great friend. To be esteemed, which is really just a fancy way of saying to be respected and loved for who you are inside, is way better than silver or gold. Money, it can be lost, it can be spent. But the kind of person you choose to be, that stays with you forever.
Which brings us right to verse 4. A huge part of getting that good name is this one big word, humility. Humility is basically the exact opposite of bragging or acting like you're better than everyone else. True humility is the fear of the Lord. It means knowing that, hey, we aren't perfect, knowing that we absolutely need Him, and having a deep respect for Him. And the most amazing part? The biblical text says that the reward for this humility is true riches, honor, and life. By putting Him first and realizing we don't know everything, we actually gain the greatest treasure of all.
Section 2. We are all God's creation.
So we know that a good name comes from humility and respecting Him, but how do we actually practice that every single day? Well, a huge part of building a good name is all about how we treat the people He created around us. Now, what's really interesting about this truth is just how simple and powerful it is. Verse 2 tells us that rich and poor have this in common. The Lord is the maker of them all. You see, on the playground, in your classroom, or hanging out in your neighborhood, you're going to meet all kinds of kids. Some might have the absolute newest sneakers, and some might not, but none of that matters because He created every single one of them. We must treat everyone equally and with kindness, because when we honor others, we are actually honoring the one who made them.
But what happens when someone isn't being kind? Verse 10 warns us about someone called a mocker. A mocker is basically a bully, someone who causes strife, starts quarrels, and uses insults to make other people feel small. The biblical text gives us a very clear instruction here. Drive out the mocker, and out goes the strife. If you absolutely refuse to join in when someone is being mean, and you choose to step away or stand up for what's right, you put an end to the fighting. Bringing peace instead of arguments is a huge, huge step in guarding your good name.
And speaking of how we treat others, verse 7 adds another interesting layer of wisdom. It says the borrower is slave to the lender. If you're always taking or borrowing from others and never giving back, it puts you in a really tough spot. It feels like a trap, honestly. Treating everyone fairly, being responsible with what you have, and making sure you're not taking advantage of your friends, that keeps you free. It keeps your friendships strong, and most importantly, it honors our Maker.
Section 3. Smart choices keep you safe. Moving on to the next part of our treasure map, we've talked about how to treat others, but what about how to protect yourself? Every day you make choices, and we're going to figure out how to navigate those tricky dangers you might face at school or on the playground. Let's talk about a very special word, prudent. Being prudent is basically like having a superpower. It means you're someone who is awake, paying attention, and making smart choices. If you see kids doing something dangerous, like climbing way too high where they aren't supposed to, or daring each other to do something bad, a prudent person spots that danger from a mile away and walks in the exact opposite direction to stay safe.
Let's compare two types of people mentioned in verse 3. On one side, we have the prudent person. They see danger and take refuge. They literally hide from trouble. On the other side, we have the simple person. Now, simple here just means someone who ignores warnings. They see the trouble, but they just keep walking right into it anyway, and they end up paying the penalty, like getting hurt or getting into big trouble at school. We definitely want to be prudent. We want to be the ones who see those warning signs and make the smart choice to turn away.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why being prudent is so important. Verse 5 says, "In the paths of the wicked are snares and pitfalls." Snares and pitfalls are traps. Bad choices don't just happen out of nowhere. They're like hidden traps on a path. But those who want to preserve their life, those who want to keep their good name and stay safe, stay far, far away from those paths. You don't have to get close to the edge of trouble just to see what happens. The absolute wisest choice is to take a completely different path.
Section 4. Sharing brings real blessing.
Now, as we journey even further into Proverbs 22, we discover a treasure that is incredibly joyful. It turns out that one of the absolute best ways to get blessed is actually by giving things away. Verse 9 says, "The generous will themselves be blessed, for they share their food with the poor." When we have plenty, whether it's an extra snack in our lunchbox, a cool toy, or just a whole lot of joy, and we choose to share it with someone who doesn't have as much, something truly magical happens. The biblical text tells us that by blessing someone else, we are the ones who are actually blessed by Him. It fills our hearts with a kind of happiness that money could literally never buy.
So how can you practice this today? It's super easy. First, if you see a friend who forgot their snack, just share a piece of yours. Second, when you clean out your room, maybe ask your parents to help you donate the toys you've outgrown to kids who might really need them. And third, you don't even need physical things to be generous. You can give your time. Help a classmate pick up some dropped crayons, or help your parents set the dinner table. Every single time you share what you have, you honor Him.
Section 5. Staying on the right path.
We've reached the final leg of our treasure hunt. We've learned all about getting a good name, treating everyone as His creation, avoiding traps, and being generous. Now, how do we make sure we keep doing this for our whole entire lives? So, the crucial point is right here in verse 6. Start children off on the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn from it. You guys, this verse is talking directly about you. Learning these lessons from Him right now, at your age, is building a massive rock-solid foundation. If you practice kindness, humility, and making smart choices right now, it becomes a permanent habit.
Think of it kind of like a three-step journey. Step 1. Start on the right way. That is exactly what you're doing right this very minute by learning His wisdom. Step 2. Grow older. As you grow up, go to middle school, high school, and eventually become an adult, you keep walking on that exact same path. Step 3. Never turn from it. Because you started early and learned what true treasure actually is, this wisdom sticks with you forever. You will always know how to find the good way.
We do need to remember the warning in verse 8, though. Whoever sows injustice reaps calamity. Basically, if you plant bad seeds by being mean, bullying, or making foolish choices, you're only going to grow a crop of trouble. Being mean never ever works out in the end. But choosing His way, planting seeds of kindness, sharing, and being prudent, that brings true life and the ultimate treasure.
So, here we are at the very end of our map, standing right on the giant X that marks the spot. You literally have the treasure of the biblical text in your hands. The only thing left to figure out is what you are going to do with it. How will you use God's wisdom to build a good name today? Are you going to share with a friend? Will you be the one to walk away from trouble? Think about just one thing you can do right now to show that you are walking on His path. Keep seeking that wisdom, and I promise you, you'll be richer than you could ever imagine.